Fam, what's up? I'm standing in the office, right outside my office. This place has been my office for the last year and a half. So many good memories. And I mean, I really decked out the place. I made it, feel like my own place, the vibes and all that stuff. Great meetings, great, events, great opportunities that came from this place. We're gonna walk it here in a second. But it makes me think about transitions. All right, it makes me think about how we transition from one space into the next, right? On the mindset side, on the professional side. In this case, we're actually going to be transitioning into a whole different office. I'll show you that in a second. Before I do though, I want to show you how big this transition really is for me. I'm not just going from one building to the next building, right? It's not what it's about. Yeah, the vibes are going to be different, but it's also transitioning from being a solopreneur, right? Me being the CEO and just running my own ship into a partnership where I'm actually joining forces with two other companies, very, very talented individuals. And we're mixing mindsets. We're mixing the way that we do business, right? We're partnering up. We're building something bigger than what we currently have. And that's the biggest transition of them all. Right now I'm sitting in the lobby. This place, I mean, we've had so many meetups in here where we just stack people, 60, 70 people in this room, doing workshops, putting together trainings on a regular basis and really opening it up for the people in the community who are doing real estate and real estate investments and entrepreneurship all together, right? So we're gonna be doing something similar on the other building. But again, the biggest transition is really gonna be operating from this solo operation where I'm just the CEO, everything just kind of tees up to me. The accountability is myself. Whether or not the results happen, it's up to me. Who checks on my people? It's me, right? But now things are actually gonna become a collective, right, of everybody that's gonna be in that same building. So the thing I'm excited about the most is really the potential, right? The opportunity, the big think. Whenever you get a couple of brains together, the think gets bigger, just by default, right? Because now you have that person's ideas, my ideas, and then the ideas that come together from those people being together. So when we transition, it's not just about one place to the other. It's about what's going on in terms of your mindset, what's going on in terms of who you are as a person. Or you're growing into this other role that sometimes may be scary to jump into, but you're still doing it and you're going through the pains of just dealing with the new stuff that's thrown at you, or you're just being stagnant and sitting on your ass and standing there without taking any risks, without taking any responsibility for the growth yourself. In this very room over the last year and a half, like I said, I mean, there's been many, many people who actually take responsibility for their actions, right? In the form of trainings, in the form of coming in and working out of the building, putting JVs together. I mean, content, just mind shares that happen, masterminds that happen. On the business side, on the personal development side, I mean, creating a space for that it's a very, very important thing, right? You can have a building that you deck out and you make it vibe to make it feel like whatever you want it to feel like, but at the end of the day, the mindset has to be there as well, right? And we are going to transition through stages. We're always going to transition from being the person that we are now to a whole other individual. It's a factor of time, right? It happens inevitably. In this podcast room, honestly, I think this has been one of my favorite rooms ever. I mean, I got to sit down with a lot of very talented people and pick their brain. I mean, where else can you pick somebody's brain like that, right? Unless you're having an interview in a podcast style. And this room is actually going to be, transferred over to that other building. It's going to transition into new conversations. We're going to have a new format, but now with the power of the collective, right? So now it's just not one brain working. It's a collective of brains and ideas, possibilities, and money-making opportunities, right? This is my personal office, and you can see you're going to find stuff that, it's pretty, to my taste, right? A couple bottled tequilas, a cool little guitar on the corner. It's my vibe, it's my place, it's my happy Zen place, right? It feels weird to leave some of that stuff behind, right? But at the end of the day, like it's about growth. It really is. So if you're thinking about how difficult a transition can be, how hard something can be to jump into or to move from one state of mind to the next, or take an opportunity that might feel risky, think about it as a transition, right? You are going to transition regardless. It doesn't matter. Even if we're staying stagnant in one single place and not really moving forward, at the end of the day, something is happening. Something is happening around us. Maybe not necessarily with us because there's no action there, but everything definitely is happening around us, right? Economy is changing, opportunities are coming and going, relationships are not being built or are being built if you're taking action. So it's always a transition. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing to jump into these kinds of challenges, right? Because they're part of life. And more importantly, part of our responsibility as entrepreneurs. And when we take responsibility, amazing stuff happens, all right? So, like I said, transitions are not just about where you go, but it helps, all right? So I'm gonna walk you through the new office. Again, it's a big change in space, right? But it's also gonna be a big change in energy. The thing that we're looking for here is the collective environment. We wanna get together and we wanna put good stuff together as a team, right? JV, partnerships, and all that kind of stuff was just not, it's something that wasn't as readily accessible in previous setups that I had. If I hadn't transitioned from that space to the space where I'm headed now, those opportunities would still be limited. So think about that for a second when you're choosing on whether or not to jump into something bigger, to let go of that analysis paralysis, to let go of that sense of fear that sometimes, most times, a lot of the times, it's irrational, right? So let's think about that. Now, a quick little tour, we walk in. To the left, we're gonna have a cool little lounge area. This is gonna be open workspace. The same thing on this side, right? We're big believers in the fact that people have to, have a common space. So most of the thing is gonna be just open workspace. So we're gonna have a 20-foot table here where everybody can get together, do their conferences, their meetings. If you're working with us and doing JV deals and stuff like that, you can actually come in and work out of the office, take advantage of that. This is gonna be a really, really cool conference room with glass doors and privacy and all that stuff. And as you can see, we have a ton of books. We are just believers in education. So I believe you need about 3,000 books to be officially a library. We have around 9,000, so the REI Foundry is also a library. And then we have a bullpen area for all the disposition of the deals with whiteboards where everything's gonna be going and whatnot. So all the activity of the day, it's happening here, right? It's gonna be loud, it's gonna be a lot of activity going on. With that, we have a couple of private offices, some kitchen, area in the back. We're gonna have a really cool setup with, a couple of motorcycles and fancy cars and stuff like that. That's gonna be my office right there. So as you can tell, it's not as big as the other one. So I have to make do. And then this is gonna be a big, huge classroom. I think I'm most excited about this portion. It's a big, huge classroom. We're gonna have a screen over here, just projecting trainings, courses, for the students to come in and learn. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're just doing it at a much bigger scale with, I feel, a much broader perspective. And absolutely, a lot more power behind it in terms of, the people that we're reaching out to, the network, the possibilities, and the earning power that's happening, right? Back here in this little room, you can't see it yet, but I'll show you when it's done. It's gonna be the podcast room. So the podcast is not going away. It's gonna be just the new and improved podcast. So with that being said, transitioning and getting out of your comfort zone is key, right? It may feel like you're digging yourself into a hole because it's scary, because it's something that you don't know, you haven't seen, you haven't experienced in the past. But the reality of the thing is that everything is transitioning around us. I almost transitioned that fly into my mouth. But everything is like if we're standing still, everything, the world is still moving around you, right? Are you losing out on opportunities because you're not taking the leap? Are you losing out on the potential to reach and actually live that life that you want to live because you're too stagnant? I mean, think about that for a second, all right? So the power of transition it's alive, it's gonna happen. Why? Because it's a byproduct of time. Think about that for a second. I hope you liked the video. I'm excited to be moving in. Hopefully I get to see some of you guys, come stop by and say hi. Do me a favor, drop comments. I mean, if you have questions for me, or you want a JV, partner up with us, come see what the REI Foundry is all about, let me know. And I'll catch you in the next video. Stay focused, you got this.